If you remember, this was the scene at Collins Correctional on Sunday after 11 officers were sent to the hospital after attempting to save the life of an inmate that was attempting suicide. We now know those officers were exposed to some sort of substance, but we still don't know exactly what type it was 3 days later at this point now. But for the first time tonight, we've learned that that inmate did survive. Go to some video here now. This all started early Sunday morning when officers ran into the cell of an inmate attempting to commit suicide and started performing CPR, but then shortly after began feeling dizzy, vomiting, and some even passing out. That led to a number of officers needing to be Narcaned and 11 being transported to ECMC. Thankfully, all of the officers were discharged that night, but the fact that any of this was even able to happen in the first place is what brought Republican lawmakers together tonight to advocate for change to the New York State HALT law. Listen to this.
The HALT Act is equivalent to bail reform. You do whatever you do, and no one is held responsible at the end of the day.
It is outrageous that the rights of inmates are being prioritized over the safety and concerns of correctional officers and their families.
Now, for those of you who don't know, the HALT Act was signed into law in 2021 to restrict the amount of time inmates can spend in solitary confinement. You just heard how Republicans feel about it and why they believe it's why situations like Sunday are unfolding. But it's also important to mention why many others supported this act and why it ultimately passed. And that's because of the psychological and physical harms that extended periods in isolations can cause a person. Now, there's no current legislation that has made any real progress to try to reverse this act, but Republicans tell us they're certainly hoping that will change in the upcoming legislative session. On your side here in the studio, Andy Payton, Channel 2 News.